what is your kind of opinion on the meta right now? Is it still just kind of like the power 4, or are things changing more?
No, I think every champion, like, I think one is a bit stronger than the other, because I feel like if you play Azir against Ryze, then Azir wins. If you play Galio against Azir, then I feel like you can get pressure as Galio, and then when you play Ryze against Galio, you can get pressure. Like it's just everything
has like a slightly counter, but like a mini counter.
But it's not like
you will never lose really hard. Yeah.
What about Fleet Foot Orianna? Where does that fit in?
I think there was a misclick, right?
No, actually,
had the ADC masteries. He forgot to change.
No, I think it's actually good because you can, with the attack speed, just push in really fast. And I was playing a lot in solo queue and in scrims, and we just, if I look at the end of the game, my ARI deals like 2k damage sometimes, or 2.5. And with Fleet Footwork, I have like over 10k healing in most games. So the Fleet Footwork has like AP ratio, so just looks really strong in general. Like, I feel like you don't lose out on too much damage to not take it.
With Nunu, it makes sense, kind of with the playstyle that you like to go for. You're obviously kind of known for your Nashor's build.
But it's pretty good, yeah, because you just get like, it's like a weaker Azir, but Azir was banned, right? So I feel like it's a good Azir pick afterwards.
What about the Kayle? Where's the Kayle at?
Hey, let's not talk about
Kayle.
No Kayle? Okay.
Bad memories of it.
Okay.
But I think like Malzahar is, I think, probably the weakest one out of those 4, because I don't think, if you blind pick Malz, you can get punished really hard in lane phase, even though you can TP back. Enemy can buy QSS first item, and then this removes your pressure kind of. And Malz is not it's probably the worst pusher out of all of them. If you could destroy the Voilings, obviously. So
do you think that's because of the nerfs in the patch, or did you already think he was already the weakest?
I think he was already.
I don't think the nerfs do anything. Just obviously the ult is 20 seconds. More cooldown, but I don't think it changes anything.
So what about Corki, right? That's going to be the pick here for High. It's something he's played a lot. We saw it in the ULCS earlier. Corki for a long time last year was kind of known as this matchup that was supposed to be pretty even against whatever. Can't really be a pretty safe line pick. Well, do you think that fits into the kind of power 4 or so ever pretty well?
I think it's just a safe pick. Like you don't really lose really hard, especially against Taliyah. But I think the problem here is that they play like kind of getting pushed in mid laner, and Taliyah will just. I feel like Taliyah can just push that guy in 24/7 and just have so much more options. So I think that's already like a huge disadvantage.
If you pick Corki, you just want to farm for late game,
Yeah, you just hope your team survives. Yeah.
What about Zach? You don't think that can change anything up as far as like if Taliyah is pushing? Do you think that there are opportunities to actually turn that around on the Taliyah?
For sure, he should start looking to gank and force Taliyah's flash, and then obviously Corki can match the Taliyah roams with package once he has it, but obviously it's more cooldown and the TP if he keeps it, so I don't think it's too bad, but I think Taliyah can always get the push early game, and he can always push whenever he wants and like always move first, so.
And they should be able to contest camps as well, because Taliyah, Zijani, they just outmatch I think the 2v2 there as well, so they should be able to contest Raptors, maybe take the blue buff, depending on the side lanes.
That sounds pretty strong. So how do you feel about some of the other mid laners that are kind of less picked? You've played a few, like Syndra. You played a couple Syndra games last week. What is your thought process of playing a champion like that then, when everyone is kind of just saying, oh, these other ones are so much stronger?
Well, I think after these like 4 power picks are kind of out, and I think they were all banned in my games, then I think it kind of gets wide open. There's a lot of picks you can pick, like Corki, Taliyah, I think Syndra is one. I think they all just like beat A tier afterwards, and you just need to choose whatever fits you as a player and just fits the team composition, I think.
Yep.
All right, so GP, Kog'Maw already on TSM side. How do you feel about the team comps? What do you think about Golden Guardian's chances so far? Obviously, we have to see their last pick, but it seems like very, very heavy scaling on TSM. Obviously, Taliyah has a lot of push. You can roam the side lanes, and Cog and GP kind of like hyper scaling late game champions. Like, how are you feeling about these sort of comps?
Well, okay, let's see I want to see what Karma. Oh, it's support. Okay, it's Karma support. So I think the bot lane should have an advantage from Golden Guardians. They obviously have the stronger lane matchup, but TSM's bot lane is really safe, also with GP ult, and Taliyah can always roam. So I think bot lane will just be scaling, and then jungle is just gonna play accordingly towards the pressure from mid, I think, and top is gonna be just farming. So I think Golden Guardian is gonna wait for package play, and then probably try to make some pressure on mid, and try to get the core key. into bot lane and try to snowball that lane because I think they get really outscaled.
Yeah,
And they have like no CC in their comp, so.
I feel like TSM comps just, I don't know, just looks better because Talia and Sejuani, I feel like can just get the Kog'Maw and Gangplank to late game.
Yeah.
And then they just get outscaled. So I feel like Golden Guardians needs to win bot lane hard, and Zac needs to get early kills while he's Zac. So I think that's might be an issue.
Well, they do have a range support, so we'll see if anything
nice.
can happen there. You know, Karma obviously is a pretty strong laner. Karma Varus can push you in, can get some stuff done there. But I'm kind of curious. So, what is your guys' opinion on GP versus Gnar? That's a matchup that people are talking about a lot as pretty Gnar favored. But I don't know if you watched Huni playing against Darshan earlier, and Huni did Relic Shield start into Corruption Potion into Doran's Blade, and he was actually going even with Darshan, even in the early stages.
Actually level 3 back.
Yeah, pushed him out of lane.
I think it's Gnar favored, but I think if you're like a god on GP and in the barrel game against Gnar, you can like just win the lane anyway. Like you can see it in I think LCK and here in NALCS as well, like that sometimes the GGP just wins against Gnar. I think it's pretty.
I think early game it's not that bad for GP because you go Corruption Pot and you just spam Q him, and your Q is shorter cooldown than Gnar's obviously. So I think you can actually do something early, but then at level 6 when Gnar gets big,
ultimate, yeah.
it's doomed.
It's all downhill from there.
Yes, it's a blower.
Yeah, but GP has such good scaling, right? You obviously always kind of have late game with GP. You have the ability to split push. You have the ability to just kind of farm it out and affect side lanes with ultimate. So, in this mid lane matchup, obviously talk a little bit about that. Bjergsen versus High, players aside, Talia versus Corki. You're talking about Talia's advantage in push. Is it just kind of High just has to farm it out and try to affect side lanes? Can he actually get anything done there in the mid lane?
Well, he can, with Zac ganks, Talia, they can obviously force flash, heal, get like pushes with him. But besides that, I think he should just farm to Trinity Force. And I think at Trinity Force, he can start winning. But I think it's still favored for Talia. Like if he gets like 2 free items, I think Corki can make fun of Talia. If he gets like Rapid Fire, Infinity, and Trinity Force, he just needs like double the damage and outranges. But before that, it's like really hard. So I think after Trinity Force, it's like a skill matchup.
I think Talia will just never fight Corki. Just push for her life. Actually, I thought it was Karma mid for a second because he just walked up mid, and
he just got the gold.
Yep.
All right, so you guys have spent a little bit of time in the NALCS. Is there any difference, do you think, as far as like overall like play styles and stuff, like between the two different leagues, EU versus NA? And what do you guys think are the differences between the actual leagues themselves, as far as teams, as far as play styles, as far as like work environments? Is there really much difference?
Well, I guess the communication is more smooth because it's like the first language.
Yeah.
So, and we don't have. Okay, we have Arrow as a Korean, but he's like here already for like 1 year plus. So we everyone can speak pretty fluently English, and that's pretty easy. This helps a lot with like shortened sentences and I guess just fast communication. And I feel like NA just gets Dragon like way more often than the ULCS. I don't know. I feel like we just.
Why?
I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like NA plays a way more controlled game, and it feels less like playing for kills. I feel like in EU, like a lot of teams just play for kills and not like actually thinking about what they can get without like getting kills and what to play for. But obviously that's different between teams. But I feel like everyone in NA just has a more clear plan, like how to play out the game. And I feel like also the individual players this year are better than the European players.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. So we'll see how it shakes out at MSI and everything, obviously. What's up, Afro? As we have a question here from Flash33. Do you think Lux will make an appearance this year as a possible pocket/counter pick against some of the current meta champs?
That's not my champ, so.
Well, I like to play Lux, but 100% not because 100% not because there's Unsealed Spellbook with Lucidity Boots, and then you just go cleans, and you have cleans every 70 seconds or 80 seconds. So every time you get hit by a snare, you just cleans, and if you're really good at the game, you shouldn't get hit more than once every minute. So she will never be able to do anything, I think.
So it's Unsealed Spellbook's fault. If that were to get nerfed, right? If Unsealed Spellbook wasn't in there, do you think that Lux can come back in?
No, too high CDs, like her E-spell.
You just gotta kill people with the ultimate and then it resets.
That's true. That's actually really cool, but
there you go.
But the thing is that like there's an Azael who just shoves like soldiers into you all the time, and then you can't do anything. At least that's how I feel.
I think this champ is just the skills like the Q is too slow and too predictable. The E is hittable in lane, and it's good for zoning.
Uh-oh, this is looking tragic.
This guy is dead.
All right, so the bot lane had to win for Golden Guardians.
Yeah.
But that's just like the classic tank versus
Yeah, that's
support.
that's what I said, right?
Yeah, it's just like jungler has so much CC, the tank supports have a lot of CC, and then they just kill you.
Do you not think that's a problem though to do with warding and stuff as well? Like, there's no trinket
Yeah,
wards
for
out
sure.
from Golden Guardians bot lane. Both of them have a trinket ward up. No ward in the river.
I
You know,
think
no
Zach
scuttle
should
control from
counter.
Zach. Like nothing, right?
Since it's I think biggest winning condition, Zach should be able to counter gank that, or they should have predicted it. You know.
Yeah, like that's kind of my thing with these sorts of plays is obviously this can go bad, right? And this did go bad, but when the jungler shows up and there is, you know, trinket ward off cooldown for both the bottom lane and the jungler's not there, like no one's warding, like these are things that you have to obviously play around, right? If you're gonna draft a pushing lane, whether it's top lane, mid lane, bottom lane, whatever, you know you're gonna be somewhat vulnerable to ganks, and you need to somewhat play around that because you know it can be advantageous, and things like Brand and Zyra, obviously they are very susceptible to that, but at the same time, if it's warded out and you can back off, you can have a pretty abusive 2v2.
I think it just felt like they were not on the same page. Zach was literally on top tribush, when Matt was, I think, ultimate queuing the Kog'Maw next to a minion of TSM, so Braum literally just jumped and queued him. He didn't even need to flash Q. He literally just jumped on a minion, queued him, ignited him, and he died. So I think he was, yeah, I guess they were just on the wrong page. Like.
Yeah, and now the Karma doesn't have flash, so she can't even walk up.
Now there's Kog'Maw though, so maybe Zach could get something done there.
Yeah, but I think if Zach jumps on Kog'Maw, Braum will just press E, and then
And they should have
He will not
Talia
take
roam
any
as
damage.
well. Like if they don't kill him fast enough, they will have Talia joining, and then that might be an issue.
and GPLT right now.
Oh yeah, so.
All right, so is it doomed?
It's it's looking.
It's already doomed. You're already opening mid on this game.
No, I think
We're 6 minutes in. Come on, where's the hope?
I would call for open right here.
You call for the open?
I think I would believe in now. Like now needs to just solo kill that guy.
Yeah.
Like, I
Do you
believe in
play it out, or are you the guy who's sitting AFK in the base calling open though?
I would just right now I would just ask open question mark. And then if no one responds, I would just keep playing.
You keep playing. You give it your
I would
best.
silently.
But is it half-hearted, or are you trying your best still? Be honest.
It's
We'll know
like-
if you're
It's
lying.
like, you know, when you put your chair like all the way back, you know, like.
All right, that's not giving your all. The other question is in NA open, because anytime anyone calls open in NA solo queue,
No one is
then
opening
people
in
defend.
December.
But it's the
People
same with-
start defending.
Actually, EULCS Open is worse than NALCS Open because NA Open because in EU solo queue I feel like they say open and then they rush Baron. Also like this. That happened to me a lot of times.
It's a viable strategy then.
You know,
It's shot calling. You call it
Yeah.
open, and then you rise all your team into the Baron pit. You take the Baron, and then the comeback is on.
Yeah.
yeah, we pretend like you're AFK, but then you're actually not. You know? That's
Just bait them in.
That's what happens.
You just
Well,
gotta tilt them.
Yeah.
Okay. So
There
you
was
guys
actually-
you gotta bring that strategy to competitive next week, you know?
No, but you know, there was actually one game I played in EU. We were playing as Vitality, and their top laner was writing open mid. And he was,
Wait, in the
yeah, he
LCS?
was actually writing it in LCS, so we got
Oh
kind of,
no.
we got kind of baited them. I think I
Really?
don't know if we lost that game. I think we almost lost. But they were, yeah, we were just running like it was like the Nexus was open. So
Yeah.
we were running towards it, and they were like, "Oh, it's lost." But then we actually couldn't end. So yeah, I don't know. I was like, "Oh, are they actually opening or what?" But they were not.
Do your
they were just
teammates ever want to forfeit during the stage games? Has anyone ever you ever had a
No.
game where people are trying to actually forfeit it? Because those are so rare. There's been a couple where people have forfeited games, but it's like super rare.
I don't think
No,
it just depends
not
on the
for me.
players. No, I don't think so either. Like players are more. I think they're more like, hey guys, I think this game is really doomed. You know. I think they would just say that the game is really hard. But,
Yeah.
Or like everyone would
You're all honorable summoners.
everyone
Fight to
would
the very
silently
end.
know the game is lost if they have like let's say, Kog'Maw GP and we go like 50 minutes and then it's like, guys, what are we doing?
You're scaling. You're always scaling. You have
Everything
late game,
storm
no
is in
matter
our
what.
pocket.
There was like when we were playing at Worlds with Fnatic in playing against Good Tigers when we were really ahead the first game
Yeah.
and we were like 10k ahead and we lost. And then the second game we were also playing really well, but we lost as well. Then obviously in that high pressure situation you can feel like everyone gets, the atmosphere gets so bad, so it's like, yeah, it's though at this times like it's way easier to get really frustrated, you know, and like
Yeah.
be like, oh, I just want to get out of here now. Because if you win 2 games and then you draw, then you're not looking forward to playing the third game, right?
Yeah.
obviously.
Or you get frustrated by like little mistakes.
Yeah.
I always feel like when I'm watching player cams, if the team stops talking, you kind of know that team's gonna lose. Like as soon as everyone stops talking,
Yeah,
you can tell,
for
oh
sure.
god, like this team's about to lose. If you see a big Baron throw,
Yeah.
like in our B studio in the theater, we would be really close to the players, and sometimes you look over and the whole team is just dead silent. You're like, ooh,
Yeah.
this is gonna be an unlucky game for them, I think.
For sure. I mean, obviously, when you are behind, then you have less control over the game, right? So there's limited options. But yeah, I have with my team as well that sometimes no one feels like you can do anything
Yeah,
when you can actually do something. But it just depends on which player steps up in the moment and be like, whatever, you know, it's just another game. Like,
Kind of like push the mood up.
Yeah,
It's
for
pretty
sure.
important.
So speaking of Worlds a little bit, and what are you guys like favorite league memories? What do you think is your biggest accomplishment or your favorite actual memory from competitive, from solo queue, from whatever?
okay, so my best solo queue moment was a game where there was like an insane level 1 fight. Did you see it? I uploaded on my Place TV.
No, I didn't see
Yeah,
it.
so it was like I was playing Vladimir, and there was like we were rushing into each other, and the fight literally went on until like 250, and it started at like 130, and everyone like first we ran to their jungle, then we were fighting, then people died, then we ran back to our jungle, and then we ran back again. Like it was hilarious. And then probably my best memory out of competitive was the play I made with LeBlanc against AHQ when we killed them all at the base, and then we just ran it down mid. And
Oh yeah, I remember that one. That was good.
that was obviously killing Faker, but yeah, that.
But that's no big deal. It's just a day in the life.
I mean, I did it in scrims already before, so. Yeah.
The humble brag. How about you?
I don't know, solo queue, not really like a big one. I think in competitive, I guess the three biggest ones were like the first one, I am San Jose against Bergson, that was pretty cool. And then reaching Worlds with Misfits, just like making it after 3 years. Like the last 2 times, I was always like the 4th team, so I was like slowly
Just
didn't get it.
barely missed.
And I guess the funniest game was probably the one against Fnatic, like 2015, when these guys rushed like 2 times to our Nexus, and our Nexus 2 times survived like with like 10% HP. Like it was just really funny. Like our communication back then was hilarious. Like I think they had like double TP or something, and then we win the fight on our Nexus. They're all dead, and we're like running out of base. And then our communication is like, I'm like, guys, what if the FTP? And then my team says, because we didn't time anything, so it's like, what if the FTP? They can just TP in our base. And then my team replies, we just hope they don't. And like these communications, like if I look at this like 2 years later, it's like, I don't know, what did we do there, you know?
Yeah, but it all worked out.
Yeah, it all worked out. It was pretty close, but yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Do you think that like the base races and things like that are just kind of like naturally more memorable? Because I feel like everyone like those games are always so exciting.
Yeah, I feel like just the adrenaline gets like you're so excited. It's like so much pressure, and everyone is talking, everyone is screaming. It's pretty cool.
It's pretty good. So TSM obviously a little bit ahead, up a couple thousand gold, but comp is kind of maybe the bigger issue, and High's looking somewhat dead. Do you guys, like, what do you do in a situation like this then? I mean, you're down 4-0, the comp is better scaling, like
if I was that cocky, I would feel really powerless because like I literally can't help my team. I'm playing getting champion, they're getting owned in the early game, and my goal is literally to farm up and hope the game survives. And here, that we're not surviving, right? But if I was the Talia in that game, I would feel like if I would stop the mid laners like Talia and Corki, I could at least make plays, I could make like ultimate plays.
So you don't think you can do anything even with package?
Of course you can like package TP. Like you need to be creative right now. Like he needs to get like, I think this TPS example is like not too helpful. I think you should have just wait for next package, get Trinity Force, package. There's not many options right now, I feel like.
Yeah, but yeah, right now it just relies on the enemy team to mess up, right? So
it's such a big lead in like 30 minutes with a scaling composition, you should keep in mind.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously, you're talking about Corki scaling, how it is pretty strong in the late game, and how much damage you can put out compared to Talia, but does that really give you that much hope when you're up against a GP and a Kog'Maw?
Not really.
No, not really. I think those champions... I mean, Corki, if you get full items, then I feel like the poke is so good, you you rapid fire, you just crit and then you walk away. So you actually have range advantage, but
I still
that's
feel like
it, kind of.
Kog'Maw can just like do the same, If he hits you like 2-3 times, I feel like he can just...
Yeah, but I think Kog'Maw doesn't buy rapid fire.
That's true, but I don't know. Getting to 6 items in this game is pretty difficult, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going to take a little bit.
So.
Why do you think we don't see more like Janna Cog and this sort of stuff even? You know, obviously you talked about how it's kind of more risky to play like a Karma or a Brand or a Zyra. What about some of the more defensive supports? Because I feel like in solo queue there's so much Cog Lulu, so much Cog Janna, these sorts of comps that feels like if the Cog gets to a decent point, it's almost impossible to ever get on them and take them down. But still, we don't really see much of that, if any of that, in competitive.
Well, they played in UHS, no? I mean, like, they don't play Lulu or Jenna, but they play, like, Zillion. I think it's kind of the same. And I feel like the Zillion late game with Tristana was always working out. They just always won the late game. So it's pretty strong, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, actually. I think maybe if the top tier supports are out, like, I just feel like Braum is just so OP because...
What about like Janna into Alistar, something like that, right? Because that's generally pretty good for Janna.
I'm not sure, actually. I'm actually a big fan of Janna because I feel like if you have a good AD carry and like for example hyper carry, then I think it's almost impossible to actually kill the guy.
Yeah.
So I think it's just too useless in lane maybe, and it's too farm heavy. You can't really actually make plays with it. Meanwhile, if you play against Alistar, they will just gank you, force your sums, and then re-gank it, you know, and they get the pressure out of that. So
it's kind of interesting though because competitive has been so slow, like as far as like the game time, like there's been so many super long games, right? So, you know, when people are talking about, oh, well, like the weakness is, you know, maybe it's not very good in lane or it could be ganked. Like there's so many games where you see people get these massive leads and then it just stalls out to 40, 50 minutes and then it just comes down to team fights, right? And if the game is just going to team fights and late game anyway, then, you know, things like Janna, you know, can be so powerful at that stage, right?
yeah, I agree, but I think usually there's one team in control, and usually there's a lot of wave clear, and yeah, I mean, obviously the game ends with a team fight, but there's also games where people just fully control the game and split push you to your Nexus is down, right? They don't actually need to kill you. They just get 3 inhibitors with the Baron, obviously because they have control and they have stronger champions. And yeah, you can pick stronger champions for team fights because you know it's gonna go for late game, but
you can't always get the fights.
At the same time, if you're behind and they have control, it's obviously way better to have like an Alistar or something who can actually make a play happen.
Yeah.
Make it like a 3-man knock-up or flank as Alistar and hit the AD carry into you. You have like more playmaking potential, right? More comeback potential. Then if you have a Janna and let's say enemy AD carry is 1 item or 2 items ahead of your AD carry, the Janna doesn't really help. Like enemy AD carry will deal more damage anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so we got a question here that was from Twitter as well. Who is your North American arch enemy going to be? So who's your rival? And if you don't have one, you could just start shit-talking someone on stream right now, and then maybe you can make one. You got anyone? No rivals?
I don't think I have any rival.
Well,
I think
obviously
Pobelter is really good.
What's again?
I think Pobelter is really good.
Yeah, so
really
Pobelter is your rival?
Not my
making
rival.
you a rival,
No,
man.
not a rival, just someone that I think is really good.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I don't think like a rival, but obviously it's always I always want to win against TSM.
Yeah, so Bjergsen.
That's
You want
always
to maintain the Bjergsen Kryptonite status?
It's 6-2 right now, I think. They're off me, so need to win the next one, you know?
Yeah. And make sure the season series stays in your favor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But obviously, like Jensen, Pobelter, and Bjergsen, they're really good, and I really want to keep playing against them because I feel like they just have something. I think they're more consistent than the EU mid laners, and I feel like it's just different. They're more calculated. They're not maybe better mechanically, but I think
They give less options, I think,
Yeah.
of outplaying them.
yeah,
It's
they're just
interesting.
really solid, and it's really hard to get ahead against them because they just know how to play the game well with their team, right?
So speaking about Pobelter a little, it's interesting because Pobelter has always been someone who gets like a lot less credit than, you know, especially like than Bjergsen and Jensen. They're always the people that mostly people have talked about in NALCS. So how do you think Pobelter stacks up to those guys? Because you called out Pobelter as the mid laner you really respect, you know, not Jensen, not Bjergsen.
Yeah,
Do you think he's
I do
as
respect
good?
them.
No, it's not to say that you don't, but I'm just saying that's the guy you chose, right? You know, what is it that is so good about him that makes you look straight to him and instead of one of those other guys that mostly people would talk about or think about?
Well, okay, so I think those mid laners are kind of equal. I think it just really depends on how good their teammates play around him and how good he plays around the team. And I think that he just has the better players around him on the team, you know, and it makes him shine more and do more, right? It's not necessarily that he's better than those others. It's just his teammates are really, really good too. So,
But you see him on the same level as those guys.
yeah, for sure.
That's very high praise, right? Because most people would not say that. It's always been, even when he's been doing at his best, most people say, oh, it's Bjergsen Jensen, and then it's like the next guys, you know, Poe Belter and so on and so forth. And it's kind of interesting to hear someone give that much credit to him. Do you agree? Do you see him on the same level, or do you think Bjergsen Jensen, you guys are even, are still better?
I actually didn't know that Poe Belter was never seen as that good. I felt like he was always like
maybe in the pro scene,
3.
but community-wise, right? That's even something like even in an interview this split, he was talking about how that's one of the things he really wants to kind of be able to get that name for himself, because he felt that he had always been overshadowed.
Well, I always saw him as like the top 3 mid laner. I think he was always doing like pretty good work in most of his teams, and I think that's the quality. Like even if the game's going bad, he still did his job. I think pretty good.
Cool. So
I think he's never been able to really win a lot. So obviously,
Like,
well,
like
he
not-
won a championship with CLG.
yeah, but compared to
I didn't.
Bjergsen, it's not comparable, right? So
Yeah,
people usually just look at this and then they say this, right? But I
That's
think
true, but even with Jensen, right? He hasn't won yet.
Didn't they go like 17-1 with Immortals as well? Like, I just feel like people just look at like the end result, and I think they lost.
They lost in the semifinals. That was the famous
Yeah.
Lucian top game from Huni.
Yeah, I feel like they
It was
just
an
look at,
unlucky game.
yeah, people just look at the end result, right? And maybe some people just like missing out on these facts, you know.
All right, so if I had to put you guys on the spot to make a mid lane tier list for me, obviously you put yourselves at #1 because you're the greatest. But who's after you then? Who would be your next 3? Who would you put in the top besides yourselves? You can put each other in there if you want, or you can not put each other. And while the other person making the list, you can stare and kind of like look angrily at them. You know, it's like,
so we're gonna put each other in the list or what?
oh, you can't. You're just gonna make a mutual agreement. This is fraudulent. All right, who is it? Who is it? Who wants to go first?
You go first.
You go first.
Okay, so just judging from now.
Yeah. It could be just this current. It could be all time. It could be whatever you want. You just have to give your
So
criteria.
just from this time, I think probably Poe Belter is the best.
Okay.
After that, I think Jensen. And yeah, probably Bjergsen after. But it's really hard to say because I've played players. For example, I haven't played against PowerOfEvil like at all, you know, in scrims.
Yeah, we didn't face each other.
So it's like it's really hard. So I'm just rating the players I face.
Yeah.
So I mean I think
Of course, you're both the greatest.
I
But
think
besides from that,
I think there's not a lot of like difference between the mid laners. You know, it's just some players everyone has different strengths, different weaknesses, but different champion pools as well, priorities. So
And I feel like it always comes down to like how you play as a team, right? Like I think it's hard if you play good. Like as example, he took Poe Belter as example. I feel like he's playing us really good with his team right now, and that's why he can just shine way better. I feel like than the other mid laners.
so what's your top 3?
I feel like I would probably say literally the same, but I would add. So I would say Poe Belter, Jensen, Bjergsen. But I would say I'm not sure, but I feel like Phoenix did quite good as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
And I'm not
actually
sure
totally
how
forgot
I would
about this
rate
guy.
him. Like I feel like he deserved to kind of be like the third as well, like maybe with Bjergsen right now. And some players I literally didn't face, like Febiven. Like I don't really face Keen in scrims. So it's like a lot of midlands I'm not facing, but like these 4 I would say like are pretty strong.
Yeah, actually I totally forgot about Phoenix. I think this guy, I played against him.
New list. Is he in there? Would you
Yeah,
put him in your
for
top
sure.
3? Yeah.
Top 3?
I feel like he's matching the 3, like the third one.
Okay.
Yeah, this guy was so good with Azir. Like I've never played against such a good Azir. Like I was playing Ryze and I played this matchup against other players who I think are really good. You know, always not gonna spoil who plays this, but like no one played it like he did, and I never got so punished before, and I was really surprised. So yeah, I think this guy is really good. I'm not sure about the other champ because people call him Azir one trick and stuff, but I think he has a good champ pool. And he's really aggressive. It reminds me a bit of Faker, how
Yeah.
he plays.
That's a pretty big compliment. I mean, it's the champion that he was kind of most famous for. It's his most famous play, you know, like the 1v4 quadra kill type thing, bot
Yeah.
lane. He's definitely a really, really good Azir. So we got another question here. what do you think it is about like EU mids? Obviously, there's a ton of EU mids in NA. There's a ton of EU mids that have been very, very strong across the board. What is it that kind of has made European mids so strong in League of Legends?
Maybe that the competition is pretty high. I feel like it's hard. Like, you obviously need to be a good EU mid laner to perform good, I think, against the other ones.
Do you think that's like a solo queue thing? Do you just think like US solo queue is, is better than NA solo queue, which kind of gives you a higher level of competition that makes better players, or what is it?
So I think, I mean, we all, like, back in the day, we had, I think, X-Pac and Frogan. Yeah, just the journey you go through as, if you are successful, like, you just keep getting better and better, and then other people start picking up on it, right? Because Caps was, like, really not known at all. He was just playing solo queue all the time, but then he started learning from
the veterans, I guess.
the veterans,
Yeah.
like just like what happened before, right? So I feel like you always learn from the people who have done great stuff before you, and then it just depends on how you grow, I guess.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So how big of a deal do you think it is to get that recognition that you're on like a really big team, right? Do you think that, so for example, Caps is obviously on Fnatic, you got known very well when you were playing on Fnatic and so on and so forth. Do you think that being on a team that has one of these really big brands helps you get that recognition more easily, right? Does Caps get the same recognition if he's on Roccat or Giants or something like that, you think?
Well, you still need to perform. Like, I think being on a big organization is, obviously there's pressure on you as well, right? If you play bad, it's like people will talk about you more. It's just like, as example, like TSM as an example, I think like you can go into that team and then be like, maybe become a superstar, or like you can become a hated person,
Yeah.
I feel like that's how it is.
Yeah.
But you can obviously always, I think you can get known in every team, like even in no-name teams, or like not no-name, but like lower organization teams, you can always like get to know, like if you just do good plays, perform good consistently. I think it's just always.
Obviously, it's easier with a team that's more famous.
Yeah.
It's gonna help out a lot, and yeah, it's just gonna give you more recognition, like on social media, and yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. People will just talk more about you, and
That makes sense. What do you guys think about the Essence Reaver build here from Haunter? Like going Essence Reaver second on GP is not something that you see very often. I'm not sure if he's actually. It looks like he's Resolve secondary, so he doesn't even have the CDR talent that converts extra CDR into AD. So
actually, I don't think I've ever seen that, but it's maybe for the like more crit shots later when he got the Infinity Edge to like just crit with everything every time.
I remember this build was being built all the time, but then Essence Reaver got changed, right?
Yeah, quite some time ago, I think.
Yeah.
Essence Reaver did get changed. I mean, it could still work if you actually take the CDR talent in Sorcery, then you're going over cap, but you're getting additional AD from it, which can kind of be okay at least. So we got another Twitter question. If you guys had to swap roles, what would you play?
I would probably play AD carry.
Yeah, same.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think AD is super fun, and it's super OP.
I
Like, just being full item, having QSS, having so much lifesteal, like being able to attack from so far range, just auto-attacking, like.
Yeah, like, I don't know, playing Tristana late game, you have like 6 items, I feel like I'm one-shotting everyone, and then have, it's like a Katarina, but you can actually jump everywhere you want, and not only on the enemy champions, like, I don't know, just AD
I think Tristana really has to get nerfed.
Yes.
Yeah?
Like, the jump cooldown, I think some of it has to get nerfed, because I feel like the auto-attack range is too high, then the jump is too OP, that you can reset. I think the jump maybe is too far as well.
Maybe,
and like
maybe.
the Q, like it gives so much attack speed.
Everything, nerf it all.
Doesn't even cost mana.
And the ult is like self-peel, like, it's too OP jump, no?
I don't, yeah.
Do you think she's the most OP AD carry then? Worse than
Yeah,
Kog'Maw?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, it's like probably one of the easiest champions as well, because like as a Kog'Maw, you need to position correctly, right? You need to play around your W. But as Tristana, you just always have your range, you always have your jump, and you have your self-peel.
Yep.
It's just very easy to play,
Yeah.
I think, as other AD carries.
Do you guys like when AD carries are kind of meta in the mid lane then? Like when you can play Lucian mid and Corki mid and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, for sure. I really like to play this kind of stuff, but it's not that good right now,
Well,
so
yeah.
it sucks.
But I felt like Lucian was not, like, it's not, for me it's not like a Tristana, right? Like,
Yeah,
with Tristana is like you have so much range, and Lucian is actually kind of close range, besides the color.
Yeah. Lucian, when he's strong, though, is so good in the early game, the mid game, so he still can
Just
be
feels
pretty
good to play.
dominant,
Feels
but
good
it's
to
not
play.
like this exciting.
Then when you meet a Tristana, you're just and then you're hitting each other, like.
Yeah, you die before you get in range.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so TSM, pretty far ahead. It's looking pretty grim for Golden Guardians.
They're pretty much just playing the game out really, really calculated. And they're not giving Golden Guardians any opportunity to do anything. So it's just a really controlled game in general. Like,
Yeah.
I think there was only one kill in the last, I feel like 15 minutes. But they got like an over 10k gold lead in over these 50 minutes. So they're just playing the game really controlled and really good.
All right, we got another question. If you could have the abilities of one champion, who would it be?
Like outside of the game?
Yeah, in real life. You can be that champion.
Twisted Fate ult.
Twisted Fate ult?
Yes.
Global Ultimate? Not even any hesitation.
Yes.
Where's the first place you're going to ult to?
To my home.
To your home?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
To my country.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant back to your apartment. I was like, that's not very interesting.
No, obviously to my home country.
Go get some food.
And then I just teleport back, you know.
Yeah, man, that's actually so good.
You can't copy his. You have to do a different one.
No, I'm still thinking. I have actually no clue. Why does he? Like, he was so fast. He literally said
He's
it like
been thinking about this.
Yeah.
He's thought it through.
Damn, man.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the
so
question.
fast. Holy. I'm still.
That's always something I want to be able to do at least. Well, why is it
Teleportation?
not even possible yet? You know, teleport
Yeah.
in 2K18. Like,
Yeah.
Damn.
so it has been on my requirement list.
That's
Yeah.
definitely should be the new meta. Airplanes are far inferior.
Would
Yeah.
be more chill.
Too slow.
Yeah. I mean, Shen is kind of the same thing, you know. Maybe you could take Shen, but you have to choose a person. To go
Yeah. I'm
to.
thinking
It'd
about
be a bit
something
weird if you're
like,
trying to go home. You like, Shen ult to your mom or your dad. You know, that could be kind of weird to show up and.
Wait, what else actually?
yeah, I'm literally thinking. I feel like that's not much.
That was the first thing that came to my mind.
There's nothing else. Just one champ.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Well, TSM looking like they're pretty much
They're just ending the game.
gonna clean this one up.
Rice
Yeah.
ult would be fun, I guess.
I know, but it's like the same as well, right? It's like teleportation, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's not that far.
And it's not
Yeah,
global.
actually,
Well, I guess TF isn't even global anyway.
Yeah.
How far does it go?
from here,
Yeah. How far does it go? Maybe it doesn't even reach your country.
probably. No, wait, it doesn't. Of course, it doesn't.
What if it only goes a couple blocks? Then Shen is
Oh,
better,
but
right?
what you can do is you can teleport, then you wait for the CD, and then you can just teleport.
Yeah.
You just keep
Also
doing it every
right.
couple
Yeah.
minutes. You just
Yeah,
go a
every
little bit
minute
further.
you just teleport, yeah.
But then you have to go into the ocean.
Yeah, but then
You can just wait, you know?
no, you
straight
don't
up.
have to go to the ocean. No, there's like there's oh, I guess
Secret
you still have to.
island.
Yeah.
Secret island. Never found.
You have to call some boats,
Call some boats.
Yeah.
Yeah. TF ult onto the boats.
and then the next boat will be ready in
The next
range,
boat will
like
be there.
maximum range, you know.
Oh, okay. So you're just.
Oh,
that's what you're gonna spend all your esports money on. Just buy a fleet of boats.
Yeah.
So you can TF ult from boat to boat across the ocean.
Yes.
All right. So TSM, they're gonna get another win. So 2 and 3 now. Your guys are tied.
That was a pretty exciting game.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. As we said before, I feel like they just didn't have any options anymore after the early game went bad. And I think Golden Guardians didn't risk enough in the draft. They just had too much scaling. I feel like they just got out-drafted a little bit.
Yeah. Do you guys think? Have you guys played against Golden Guardians at all in scrims?
We did a lot, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that they have more to show? Do you think that it's just, hey, it's not going to work for them, or is this a team that you think can actually pick up a lot of wins? Like on the analyst desk, they were doing the over/under, right? Are they over or under 3.5 wins? And Mark said he thought they were going to be under 3.5 wins. Do you think they're a couple-win team? Do you think they're a no-win team? Where do you see them?
I just feel like what I said before the game as well. I said they just from where they are right now, they just have nothing to lose right now. I think they should just try to risk more, maybe cheese, find strategies. You know,
But they will keep losing, right?
Huh?
They will keep losing.
If yeah, if they just draft more aggressive and risk more,
Gotta try something.
Maybe they can get some wins. Yeah.
All right, what do you guys think about your chances for tomorrow? So you're going up against Echo Fox, I believe. You're going up against Cloud9. You like your chances? Are we going to see some Kale, maybe some Tristana mid from both of you?
Well, I think we face Cloud9 today and Echo Fox tomorrow.
Yeah,
Both
Echo
really
Fox
strong
tomorrow.
opponents, but I don't know. I feel like we are 1-4 right now, so we have nothing to lose as well. Just
You have the game to lose.
we have the games to lose, but they have more to lose.
Oh,
If they
okay.
lose against us, they're bad.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, right?
Where's the confidence? Well, they lost today, so maybe they
Yeah.
tilted.
No, I think we can win. Like I think the 1-4 score, like the 3 games we lost were literally all 60-minute games, and it just came down to like one team fight and like I think just team decision making in a late game because we yeah, we were just not on the same page, or people got really nervous, or people were like not calm enough because they didn't really have long games in their career yet. So I feel like these games were all really close, and it could have been easily like different scores well than 1-4. So it feels a little bit bad, obviously, but I'm looking forward of like improving and just beating them.
So it's winnable. How about you?
It's winnable. as
Winnable?
well. Like
Yeah.
I think we can probably win against any team we play. Just depends how we play, right? So I think we have a lot of good strengths, also obviously weaknesses. But I think, yeah, just everything has to go according to the plan, you know. And like,
Yes.
if something goes bad, then they might win. If something goes
The
good,
plan is win the game. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes
Yeah.
not so much.
Sometimes you're winning till you're losing.
Yeah, there you go.
sometimes you're 10K ahead, but then you still lose, you know.
I mean, you guys have had a couple of really dominant games, and then you've had a couple games that haven't gone so well. What do you think has been the problem in those games? Has it just been, you know, laning issues, communication issues? What do you think are some of your problems?
Well, I think the games I think, yeah, I think it has to do a lot with your champions, because usually when you pick champions and you should be ahead, but if you're not ahead, then you're really useless, because obviously some champions lack wave clear and they're way better from ahead, and if you fall behind, then it's just so hard to do anything. So yeah, it's just a combination of a lot of things, like obviously laning phase, team draft, decision making in the game.
It's a no easy fix.
What do you think was in the last game the problem? Couldn't you, like, when you guys throw to the Baron, like, couldn't you guys just have split push with Jace, or do you think just the team fight in general, like, the engage was bad? Like, what do you think was the problem with that? Like, because I felt like you guys could have just maybe like split push with Jace, but you guys decided to team fight. Like,
Yeah, well,
what
I
do you
don't think
about
that was.
Yeah, obviously, like, you guys can win team fights as well. I just like wanted to
I
know
don't
you
think. I think we could have won team fights, but I think we're not playing towards our winning condition. Like for sure, I think Jace should be splitting our game, and then we were doing good by making them come to Baron.
Yeah.
And if we just keep hitting, like we keep splitting, and we have Shenot as well, so Gunnar cannot really fight, you know.
Yeah, just outmark
And
them, I guess.
Yeah, and if they come to Baron, we just back off. If they go really deep into the choke, we can try to engage on them. But obviously, we're never gonna kill Trist, because we're gonna engage on her,
Yeah.
and then she's gonna jump out, and then we engage on her again, like, and they
And then she ults you
TPS
away.
us, right? So, yeah, I think that game we really messed up with our split push, and we should have recognized we cannot teamfight them, because Tristana is just so, like, you
Yeah,
cannot
like
get
3
onto
items.
her, you know?
Yeah.
All right, well, there you go. So we have to nerf Tristana.
For
thank
sure.
you very much, guys, for both coming on. Pee-wee, Febby,
Welcome,
I really
Febby.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next week for the NALCS Lounge, we're going to have, it's Fox versus Golden Guardians. Not sure on the guest just yet. Maybe you guys can convince some of your teammates to come on. But either way, thank you very much, and we're going to hand it back to the guys at the desk.
Less worried, Mike Young having a better game.